Welcome all of you to my briefing on the financial situation of Oakland and our efforts to balance that budget. As you know, the document has come out today. So I'm going to start at 35,000 feet and then drill down. Over the last several days, all of us have been glued to the television as we've looked at a proposal to, quote, bail out Wall Street. Consider the fact that for the first time in history, a bailout proposal of $700 billion has been proposed. Whether one agrees with the substantive nature of that proposal or not, the message that is being sent is that there is something major transpiring in our national economy. When you hear words like on the verge of collapse, $700 billion is twice the size of America's military budget. So that alone should say something to everyone in this room, everyone in Oakland, and that is that our economy is in serious difficulty. How does that then come to this moment? Oakland does not exist in a vacuum. We exist in the context of a national economy, a global economy, a state economy. What is unfolding in Washington at this very moment has dramatic impact upon Oakland, particularly the rapid decline in our real estate economy. Oakland lost $30 million in real estate transfer taxes alone. So what is happening there has impact upon us. So there is indeed a local impact, which allows me now to start talking about this conversation. As we started to look at the third quarter and fourth quarter numbers, we came to the clear conclusion that whatever was being discussed in the midterm budget adjustment was wholly inadequate because our deficit was much larger than anticipated at that moment. That then allowed me to trigger a process. And I said at the end of July that we would engage in a concentrated 6 weeks effort to engage in a substantive and serious analysis of the financial situation of Oakland. We brought together consultants, advisors, in-house professionals, and external experts to look at Oakland's finances. No stone was unturned. We have 150 funds in Oakland. We looked at every single one of them. So we went across the board, total analysis. We engaged in what I am prepared to say was an inclusive process. Department heads were involved. We came together as a team. When we looked at anticipated revenues, we had a very strong and dynamic conversation with internal and external experts to wrestle these matters to the ground. At the end of that process, we came to the conclusion that I can communicate to you in one sentence. Oakland is living beyond its means. Clear, simple, straightforward. As the mayor and the chief executive officer, my responsibility is to, as clearly and as cleanly and in as thoughtful and educative manner as possible, speak the truth. As transparent as possible, as painful and as uncomfortable as that is, Oakland is living beyond its means. In the course of the remainder of my comments at this press conference, I will endeavor to answer 3 questions. Where are we? How did we get here? And what's our plan? Where are we? We presently only have $10 million in our general purpose fund reserve. $10 million. That in and of itself is problematic. Now, everybody's not an accountant, so what does that really mean? It means Oakland has $10 million of uncommitted money in its checkbook in the general fund. Simple as that. And then you can understand the implications of it, and I'm going to come back. Secondly, we have a $37.4 million deficit in our general purpose fund. $37.4 million. Thirdly, there is a deficit. The difference between revenues and expenditure in our landscape and lighting assessment district, what we refer to as the LAD, of $5 million. $18 million in revenue, $23 million in operational expenses. So we had to find $5 million to address that deficit. Fourthly, in the budget that was passed by the state of California just recently, an item in that budget requires that we take Oakland money from our redevelopment agency to the tune of $8.5 million and pass it through to the state. And I'll talk about the implications of that. Secondly, so those are the immediate problems, those four. Our cash reserves, our deficit in the general fund balance, our deficit in the LAD, and $8.5 million now passed through that we lost to develop projects and continue to employ staff to the tune of $8.5 million in our redevelopment agency. Now, to the second area, we have had long-term, systematic, historic, structural problems that we inherited because these are practices that have built up over time. And that is to carry over liabilities in our funds over years, fund deficits in a number of our funds over many, many years. So it's robbing Peter to pay Paul. That cannot continue to happen because it is a drain on our general fund revenues, and we need to address that issue. And on our watch, we have to stop playing games. We have to stop engaging in magic because magic is what got us here. It has to end, period. Because in meeting with some of our labor representatives, they rightly said, so why must we believe the doomsday situation? Because suddenly and magically someone says, I want to spend $2 million, city administrator, go find the $2 million. A lot of hand wringing at the meeting, and then in a few weeks suddenly, magic, $2 million comes forward. I'm saying to you folk, there is no magic. It's all over, period. And we'll talk about that. Thirdly are the future challenges. And there are four specific future challenges that we as a city must face. Number one, the old retirement system for police and firemen. We haven't been paying into it for a while. But in the year 2011, we must begin to pay, period. That's out there. It's got to be dealt with. Number two, in the health retirement benefit program for present retirees and those of you who are active workers, over the years we've been paying some money into it, but not nearly enough. And so what's being said to all of us is that you're going to have to start paying into that fund to the tune of approximately $23 million per year out there. And each year that we don't pay into it, each year we say, well, next year we'll do it, next year we'll do it. You only compound the felony, and it just starts to add up. So we have to end that practice. In the future, we need to deal with that. Thirdly, there's no cash revenue in our capital fund, municipal capital fund improvement None, zero. The last fire station we built, we didn't build it with capital improvement monies. We built it with redevelopment agency money. Not the best way to fund capital improvements that are municipal capital improvements. So we have to adjust that. We have to find a way to put money into our capital fund.